Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharatari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharatari. Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharatari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharatari. Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Praschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Jnanatimarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshulum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapandantikam Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 64, verse 26. I'm just going to say the whole verse and then we'll go back. Okay. Swatam katam mama vibhoshi pataparatma yogeshwarai shruti drishamala vibhavya shakshada adhoksha uruvyasanand buddhe syanme dudrisha ihadyasya bhava pavarga. Okay, now. Swatam katam avabhiboshi pataparatma Swatam katam avabhiboshi pataparatma Yogeshwarai Shruti Drishamala Hridvibhavya Yogeshwarai Shruti Drishmala Hridvibhavaya Yakshada Hokshaja Uruvyasananda Buddhe Shakshada Hoksaja Uruvyasananda Buddhe Syanme nudrisha ihavyasya bhavar pavarga Syanme nudrisha ihavyasya bhavar pavarga. Okay. Shakshada Hoksaja Uruvasasanda Buddhe Syanme Undrisha Iyayasya Pavargayasya Sakvam Katam Vibhoshita Pata Paratma Yogeshwar Shruti Drishamala Shakshada Hoksaja Uruvyasananda Buddhe Syanme nudesha mihayasya bhavarga bharga Sanam tamam yogatijam bhavatma Yogeshwara Shriti Vishram Hridaya Samme Yudisha Iyayasya. Sattvam Katam Mama Vibhoshita Patha Paratma. Yogeshvara Shruti Dharmasya. Kakshada Hoksa Jarudo Bhajanali Budhe. Samme Mridisha Iyayasya Bhava Pavarga. Svatam Katam Mama Vibhoshi Pata Paratma. Yogeshvara Shruti Gamala Hridaya. Shakshada Hoksa Jaruru Vyasavana Budhe. Samme Dudrisha Ihayasya Pavavarg. Okay. Saha, he, from yourself. Katam, how. Mama, to me. Vibho, O Almighty One. Akshipata, visible. Para-atma, the super soul. Yeah, supreme soul. Yoga, of mystic yoga. Ishwarai, by masters. Shruti, of the scriptures. Drisha, by the eye. Amala, spotless. Hrit, within their hearts. Vivavya, to be meditated upon. Shakshad, directly visible. Adhoksaja, O transcendental Lord who cannot be seen by material senses. Uru, sever. Oh, that's severe. Vyasam, by troubles, and blinded. Buddhe, whose intelligence. Syat, it may be. May, for me. Anudrisha, to be perceived. Iha, in this world. Yasya, whose. Bhava, of material life. Apavarga, cessation. That's a heavy word, right? Pavarga. The material world, entrapped. But this is apavarga, cessation. Translation, Almighty One, how is it that my eyes can see you here before me? You are the Supreme Soul, whom the greatest masters of mystic yoga can meditate upon within their pure hearts only by employing the spiritual eye of the Vedas. Even though it's in the middle of the verse, I still want to stop. King Nriga really gets it. He understands that this is very unusual. This is not common. As a matter of fact, it's most amazing. Because frankly, I don't know, I haven't been here for some classes, unfortunately. But King Nriga, as much as he is no doubt very exalted because the Supreme Personality about it, Krishna came personally and grabbed him. And he prayed that he would always remember, and he got that benediction, from what I can understand, from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he was no doubt very exalted. But his pat, or his marg, that brought him to that. This is called karma kanda. Plain and simple. There was no bhakti involved. The Vedic culture is so expansive. It is so primal to human existence that even it will cover aspects like karma, artha, moksha, like that, dharma. It covers these things. But for the devotee, they're not interested. Not interested. This is karma kanda. The exalted feature, why we read it in the Srimad Bhagavatam and why we like to read about King Nriga, is because Krishna saved him and he came to the realization. But prior to that, putting gold on cows' horns and plating their hoofs with silver and giving them away. I mean, we have to look at the history. Look at Jarasandha. Krishna had a plan to kill Jarasandha. And so he came and they dressed Arjuna and Bhimasen as Brahmins. And they said, we've come for something. Well, Jarasandha smelled a rat. He said, something's weird here. These are not Brahmins. But they are claiming to be Brahmins. So, if they dare to ask me for something, I will give it. He says, I will even sever my head. I'll give my head. So this is Jarasandha. This is not a Vaishnava. Not a Vaishnava. Of course, you can say because his engagement in Krishna Lila and remembering Krishna, these are also exalted activities. But from our point of view, or Hiranyakashipu, how about Atma Gyan? When his brother Hiranyaksha was killed by Vishnu, Varaha, what happened? He had to pacify his brother's wives. And on and on and on he went with this nyaya, this philosophy, this Atma Gyan, the nature of the soul. He was not unaware of it. He was educated. But what was he educated in? This is the point. It's part of the Vedas. So, as Srila Prabhupada likes to quote many times, Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Sarvascha chaham hridi sanivasto matas smritir gyanama pohanam cha vadaischa saver ahame vividyo vedanta krit veda vidheva chaham. I'm situated in everyone's heart. And from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, even forgetfulness. No one really wants forgetfulness, but they'll get it at the wrong time. They really don't want it. But the point is, even forgetfulness is coming from Krishna. What to speak of remembrance, knowledge. And then Krishna establishes who he is, Vedanta Grid Veda Videva Chaham, Vadaischa Saverahama Vidyo Vedanta Grid Veda. I am the compiler of Vedanta and I know Veda as it is. So he is the ultimate source of all knowledge. There's different sources of knowledge. And the only one that's ultimately considered valid is Shruti. There's various forms of indirect and direct knowledge, but the ultimate one, that's Krishna. And he's saying, within your heart, the living entity, I provide that information. So, King Nriga, he's thinking like this. He says, meditate within their pure hearts only by employing the spiritual eye of the Vedas. Then how? more of the verse here. Then how, O transcendental Lord, are you directly visible to me? Since my intelligence has been blinded by the severe tribulations of material life. This is the pavarga. He's been overwhelmed. Indeed, he was stuck in a well as a lizard. Only one who has finished this material entanglement in this world should be able to see you. And this is backed up. Premanjana churito bhakti vilochanena. The Brahma Samhita says only one who has the salve of love, vilokyanti, can see with the eyes. And again, the heart. What is it? Premanjana churito bhakti vilochanena santasa daiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. The same thing, exactly. Through the heart. The word heart is in this verse. The heart is, Krishna says, I'm in everyone's heart. And again, in Brahma Samhita, within the heart. So it's not an external thing. But one who has that salve of love, they can understand. Purport. Even the body of a lizard, even in the body of a lizard, King Nriga could remember his previous life. And now that he had the opportunity to see the Lord, he could understand that he had received special mercy from the personality of Godhead. So indeed, this is the whole idea, is to get the special mercy. There is no mechanical process by which. This is why we say, Anilasita sunyam, jnana karma andrita. Not by karma, actually sunyam is there. Anvilasita sunyam. Is that in Sanskrit? Yeah, thought so. Yeah. So anvilasita sunyam. Sunyam is the same when we say sunyavadi, right? We pray that Srila Prabhupada has saved us from this horrible destination of trying to go into voidism, where there is nothing, the concept of nothing, which of course is nonsense. But we want the nothing of anvilasita, that is to say the contamination of material life. We do not want anything to impede us to focus on Krishna. We want only to focus on Krishna. We don't want any other endeavors, any goals outside. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. That it actually, we are trying to attain that which always is. Always is. That is to say, I think it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti. That's a wonderful idea when you think about it. It means the Krishna consciousness is already there. It's already there. This is not a process of transformation. In the West especially, due to ignorance, there are so many self-help books, self-help conferences, gurus. And what is their big line? Transformation. We're going to transform you. We're going to bring you from... but only the transformation, that only occurs in the material world. Sometimes I'm in this body, sometimes in that body. Sometimes I'm sick, sometimes I'm feeling well. This is transformation. Even the scientists, they discuss this concept. Transformation of elements. Transformation of the material energy. But we know we are interested in Sat Chit Ananda. So there's no transformation. This is that's why we say back to home, back to Godhead. because that's what it is. Nitya nityanam chaitanas chaitananam ego bahuna yo danti kaman. It is the eternal nature of the soul to engage in this apavarga. This is not an achievement from the outside. Rather, it is purification. Maybe we'll just do a quick question. Krishna gives 3 examples of how the soul is covered in Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't say the soul has to transform. He says it needs to become uncovered. What's one example? Huh? Smoke. Smoke is covering the fire. We know this. You might have had a personal experience. You can't even see. Smoke is covered. The fire is there, but you can't see. That doesn't mean the fire isn't there. Krishna is there. Okay, what is another one? Dust on the mirror. Again, the mirror is there, the reflection is there, everything is there. There is no transformation, it is only covered. What's another one? Embryo, covering the womb. All of these examples, God Himself, He's giving these examples. So, and what is that condition? What is that condition that's nitya nityanam? So that's described as not only gyan, free of kam, but it is also anuglukena. Oh, it's Krishna anu. Krishna anu. So that's the key word here. It is continuous, it's not interrupted. So we know savai pumsam paro dharmo jato bhaktir ahoksaje ahaituki apratyata yayatma suprasidati. What does that mean? That means that the living entity, his highest suprasidati, his highest satisfaction, the dharma for human society, the natural jaiva dharma, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, okay, what is that? It's to be always engaged unconditionally and with, that is to say, causeless. Again, this is the condition of the soul. You cannot create a causeless situation. It is there. It is the nature of the soul. So we are hankering for that, as Srila Prabhupada used to say, for that which we have forgotten. That's all we're trying to do in Krishna consciousness. We're hankering for that which has been forgotten. So King Nriga, he got caught up in actually a transformative goal because he wanted to become a demigod. And frankly, that's the end result. Karma. If you get good karma, you get a different body. That's the way it goes. Good karma, better body, and then you have another set of circumstances. For birth, death, disease, and old age, it's mundane. So we're not interested in the transformative. But you know, the active ingredient, and here's the key thing that Srila Prabhupada taught us, is that this Krishna anu shilanam, bhakti uttamam, the highest bhakti incorporates this concept that it is shilanam. And many of you know that word. Ardent endeavor. Endeavor. So my understanding is that Sanskrit doesn't always have verbs. It's a very advanced language. And there are implied verbs, implied aspects of the notion that's being made. So shilanam is a verb, is the verb root, and it means to act. So devotional service, bhakti, means devotional service, the active principle. And it's misunderstood by many. Many people confuse this shilanam. It's like the active ingredient, you know. If you have a chemical composition and you want to use it for medicine or something, you can look in the fine print. What is the active ingredient? The active ingredient is shilanam. Because we have to become active for Krishna. It's an acts of devotional service. So it's not just bhav, but ras. And ras is an activity, ultimately. So devotional service means that we get excited to engage or let's say bhakti yoga means we get excited to engage in this service to Krishna. And what kind of service? It's got to be favorable to Krishna. Favorable to Krishna, and it's continuous. It's causeless, it's not broken, it's favorable. This is the characteristics of devotional service. So this is very different from the Mayavadi concept, which implies there's change. And this is the disease. When we're looking and we find some solution to our problem, we can tell if it's mundane when we notice that there's a change as opposed to a revelation. But we're not interested in making adjustments to the material world. And the spiritual world and the engagement of the devotee are identical. Prabhupada explains that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur even went on to give it a more of a definition. He says, we have goals, sadhya. All of us have some goal. But we have many, many goals. And then after a businessman achieves a certain goal, quite frequently he says, well, that wasn't good enough. I want another goal. And so compounding again and again, a new sadhya. But for each sadhya, there's a new sadhana. For each goal in the course of life, as we go through life, from childhood we adopt different goals. And for each one of them, there's a different sadhya. There's a different means to that goal. And it's a cycle. It keeps going. It's a chain of I did this very nicely, and now I got what I wanted. But no, it's not complete. Now I have to do another one and another. Does this sound familiar? This is life in the material world. It keeps going. A new goal. Nothing comes out of it that's totally satisfactory. But in Krishna consciousness, the advancement of the jiva is finally he comes to the point where he understands that he wants to engage in devotional service. And so this engagement that is described by Rupa Goswami, pure devotional service, Anukulena, Krishnadas Kaviraj adds the word to the expression. He says, Sarva Indriya, to engage the senses. It's not impersonal. To engage the senses, to serve Krishna and engage the senses. So what is it that Prabhupada taught us? He said that the ends and the means are the same. We get to the point where the chain of sadhya, goal, and sadhana, the means, become one and the same. Do you understand? The means to become Krishna conscious and the actual realization of being Krishna conscious are one and the same. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Parasevanam. We get to that point where there is no difference between the goal and the means, and the means and the goal. This is the condition of the Vaishnava. He's free of all this stuff. You've probably heard the simple little story of two logicians, and one sees that the bird, probably a crow, has landed on a mango tree, and at that moment, a mango fell. So, no, he flies away. That's what it is. A bird flies away, and the branch shakes, and the mango falls. So the man says, see, this is cause and effect. I have observed that the bird has flown, disturbed the branch, and the mango has fallen. And the other man says, you don't know anything. The mango fell. It shook the branch, and now the bird flew. They're intelligent like this, back and forth, back and forth. Actually, this is a component of Nyaya, of advanced philosophical logic. But the Vaishnava walking down the road saw the mango. Oh, very nice. He takes it, he washes it, he offers it to Krishna. This is a completely different world. Huh? He's not engaged in that so-called investigation. He's beyond that. So therefore, we are very happy not to bother ourselves with asat, that which is not permanent. In early days of the Krishna consciousness movement, I think it was somewhere in New York, someone tried to challenge Srila Prabhupada and said, you say you know so much, how many windows are there in the great building in New York, famous building called Empire State Building? How many windows are there? And Prabhupada said, that is not knowledge. That's not knowledge. Asat. This is from those who are not trained in Vedic culture, this is a big change. I'm not this body, and the number of the windows in the Empire State, that's not knowledge. This is preliminary, but it's what happens. You had to go through these stages. Huh? We are only interested in that which is sat, which is our relationship with Krishna. So Nriga, he's waking up and he's getting all excited because he realizes he's not qualified, and yet he's seeing Krishna, and this is the wonderful situation he's in. Prabhupada had to deal with this impersonalism a lot. Of course, it's not like it doesn't exist in India. There are Mayavadis everywhere. And you might know that Srila Prabhupada used to refer to his original disciples in 1966. He used to tell them about the Mayavadis, impersonalists, and how they're destroying, committing aparad, and not accepting the form of Krishna. Great philosophers like Dr. Radha Krishna had written about in Bhagavad Gita, in which he says, in the purport, it is not unto Krishna that you should surrender, but to the unmanifest, unborn within Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada would read that Bhagavad Gita to his disciples to warn them. And he was telling them about the Mayavadis. And all of us, I wasn't there at that early stage, but even later we used to think, who are these Mayavadis? There must be a sect somewhere in India. Maybe it's in some particular state, maybe in a particular area, and all these Mayavadis have settled there. And they're promulgating this philosophy, and Prabhupada has a real problem with them. What we didn't understand is we were the Mayavadis. We didn't get it. But anyway, so he's explaining to us, because many devotees had adopted impersonal philosophy before they became more and more engaged in devotional service. So one time, Kirtananda Swami, I got this story directly from Hari Griva Prabhu in the presence of Kirtananda Swami, in which Prabhupada's very strongly condemning Dr. Radha Krishna for his impersonal philosophy. And Keith raised his hand and said, well, actually, I have another thought. And then he tried to defend Dr. Radhakrishnan. Well, maybe this, should look at it from this point of view. It's not such a bad idea. He's looking at it from this angle and that angle. That's all. And as he was talking, finally, Srila Prabhupada said, "Are you through?" And Keith, who was a PhD candidate, educated, said, no, a little more. So he went on to talk more, talkative. Finally, Srila Prabhupada said, "Are you through? Now are you through?" He said, okay. And then I could demonstrate, I'm getting too old. Prabhupada stood up on the Vyasasana. He stood up and started screaming at him. Screaming at his disciple that this is poison. Mayavad is the greatest aparada. Mayavadi aparadi. He was condemning him in the most strongest terms. So we're not interested in that angle. So we're not interested in bhav for bhav's sake. We're interested in sarva indriya, Krishna anu shilanam, ardent endeavor, because that's the active principle. The spiritual world, everybody's active. I mean, even when the cows and calves are hearing the Venu of Krishna and they become struck and they don't move, that's a movement. I mean, that's an activity because they previously were moving around. Even the rocks melt. So if the rocks melt, this notion that somehow or other, the highest principle is simply the bhav of the gopis. No, the gopis were running. They were running, not even properly dressed. They gave up all of their shyness and they ran to Krishna. And when Krishna disappeared, they became mad for him, actively mad. So these should never misunderstand Krishna consciousness as an analogy or somehow or other just some kind of a so-called mystic. Prabhupada said mystic means misty. Like some amorphous, undescribed feature. No, everything is there. The information is there. So, and the sweetness is there. When the gopis were searching madly for Krishna here and there and here and there, they met Narayan, four-armed. And their only business with him was to ask, "Have you seen Krishna?" So this is the favorable nature of the devotional service. They're only thinking, how can I serve Krishna? How can I serve him? How can I find him? And Narayan didn't fit into the picture. He doesn't have anything to do with that. So they respectfully asked him. But it's reciprocal. Krishna is also. He's also wanting the ras. So when Radharani came to Narayan to ask, "Have you seen Krishna?" he couldn't keep his forearms. He couldn't maintain that. So you should understand this is the juice. There's the false, and then there's the real. It's like, this is, what is the word? Dharmo, prajito, kaitavo. That means the false religion of that which leads to the mundane, that form of dharma that does not produce devotional service. We want to throw it out. So the devotee is very picky, okay? And therefore he follows a spiritual master. What was I going to say? That you cannot invent devotional service. It's not a do-it-yourself project. Therefore, we take shelter of the parampara. And King Nriga, he's ecstatic, and so we can be ecstatic for him. And see what he says here. Deva Deva Jagannatha Govinda Purushottama Narayana Rishikesha Punya Shloka Achut Tavyaha Anujani Mam Krishnam Yanti Deva Gatim Prabhu Yatra Kavpi Satash Cheto Bhuyan Medva Padash Padam. O Deva Deva Jagannath Govinda Purushottam Narayan Rishikesh Punyashloka Achyuta Avyaya. O Krishna, please permit me to depart for the world of the demigods. Wherever I live, O Master, may my mind always take shelter of your feet. So I have to say, he's doing good. He's coming around. Before he was absorbed in, and you might have heard my name, and I'm pretty famous, and I did a lot of punya. I'm actually quite the guy. That was his earlier mood, describing himself as distinguished in the Karmakanda family of charitable beings. And now he's taking the proper mood. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments as follows on this verse. His faith emboldened upon receiving the Lord's mercy and thus attaining the status of servitude, King Nriga properly glorifies the Lord by chanting his names and then asks the Lord's permission to take his leave. The spirit of his prayer is as follows, quote, you are Deva Deva, God, even of the gods, and Jagannath, the master of the universe. So please be my master. O Govinda, please make me your property with the same merciful glance you used to enchant the cows. It's a good one. You can do this because you are Purushottam, the supreme form of Godhead. O Narayan, since you are the foundation of the living entities, please be my support, even though I am a bad living entity. That's Vishwanath Chakravarti, suggesting that Nriga Maharaj recognizes his shortcomings. O Rishikesh, please make my senses your own. O Punya Shloka, now you have become famous as the deliverer of Nriga. O Achyuta, please never be lost to my mind. O Avyaya, you will never diminish in my mind. Thus, the great Bhagavatam commentator Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the purport of these verses. So it's very glorious that he's come to this stage. And of course, again, this is not a transformation. This is the original nature of the living entity. And we are simply wanting to uncover it. That is our goal in Krishna consciousness. We're not into manipulation. We're into revelation, or Jeev Jago, to awaken the soul. And that's exactly what happened to King Nriga. He went through the process of awakening. And so the Sankirtan movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, Chaito Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadvagni Nirvapanam. He comes and he awakens us, purifies us, and we're all testament to that. Because there's a taste. And that's the eternal, that we should never, we should always know that that is what we are hankering for. The living entity is hankering for that. And that's why we should not have any other sadhana than the sadhana given by our Guru Maharaj. And then we'll get the sadhya. And it's the same thing as mentioned. The process, the means, and the end are the same. The definition of the residents of Goloka Vrindavan are those who are always absorbed in thinking, chanting, remembering, talking about, and relating to, serving, meditating on the Supreme Lord. So therefore, we are not engaged in any inferior process. Never think that when you're reading a Krishna book, the Krishna book by Srila Prabhupada, that he so carefully put together, 10th canto, we should never think, oh, this is for the beginners. I want to read more advanced literature. This is not so interesting to me. I mean, we can read, so Prabhupada said we can read the Goswami literature. Certainly said that. But we should never come to the point where we come to think, oh yeah, Krishna book, done that. This is Maya. If that ever occurs to you, then you know. Because this is the business of the living entity, to hear and chant again and again, and to relish again and again. Okay, Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, sir.
King Riga was appreciating that he received the special mercy of Krishna, the special blessings of Krishna. But Krishna is equal to everyone, so why did he receive special blessings? Because of his charitable nature, or did Krishna have a reason to give special mercy? And what is that special mercy, besides ordinary mercy?
No comment. No, seriously. What am I going to tell you? God decided he wanted to do something. And I've figured his game out. I know why he does things and why he doesn't. No, excuse me. I don't have an answer for that, and I don't want to have an answer for that. I mean, I'm just saying that when it comes to Krishna dispensing mercy, he takes care of everyone according to their needs, according to their situation. And I certainly don't know why he got the mercy. But we all pray for the mercy, and we also take the attitude that we will get the mercy. We're very positive in Krishna consciousness. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just kidding.
Well, Narada Muni in Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita is going and asking that, oh, you're the best recipient of Krishna's mercy. Yeah. Whoever he went to, and they say, no, not me, because of this reason. That, and I'll go to Prahlad. Yeah. And each one, as Vaishnava would say, no, I didn't get the mercy, but Narada Muni is looking for that person to receive the ultimate mercy. But, Krishna is kind to everyone, and those who are eager for it get it.
But Prahlad has a very funny take. He says, oh, Krishna, he ignores me, and he should. And what have I done for him? And well, this is the relationship the devotees have with. They don't see. It's not like an accounting, huh? A ledger book. That's Yamaraj's business, I think. He keeps track of what is it? Justice may be slow, but it grinds very fine. You might have heard this. And so karma is dispensed very, very carefully. But we're outside of that. Yes.
What is an impersonalist?
Well, there's different manifestations of impersonalism, but ultimately, impersonalism denies God the agency of being a person. We're afraid of personalism because in the material world we've had bad experience. So we assume, well, God can't be like that. God cannot be a person. Because the material world is full of nasty persons. So God cannot be there's so many difficulties in personal interactions and relationships. So I don't want to have anything to do with this. But again, it's sense gratification. Ultimately, the goal of anything outside of bhakti yoga is to avoid God because it's the last snare of Maya. It's an excuse not to surrender to God. In practice, God's not a person, now I have to deal with him. God took care of that. God's not a person, I don't have to deal with him. Because I'd rather think of myself as very important. So, in the name of very so-called elevated philosophy, people are simply engaged in the same activities that demons do. They decry the Lord. Because to not accept his personal features, his pastimes, his associates, to not accept any of those things is to actually blaspheme the Lord. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That was a good question.